I still wake up with a taste of diesel and wet pavement on my tongue. It was 2:17 a.m. on a Tuesday when my phone vibrated so violently it slid off the nightstand onto the floor. My sister's voice drifted through the speaker, like smoke slipping under a doorway. "Hey, big brother. Thanks again for taking the kids. You're a lifesaver." I hadn't left my couch in 4 days. I hadn't answered a single call in 4 days. And I definitely hadn't agreed to babysit anyone. The living room tilted slightly. My mouth went dry and metallic because somewhere, out in the dark, 2 children had been missing for 96 hours. Meanwhile, my sister was tanning in Cancun, drinking something with a tiny umbrella, convinced I'd given in as usual. My name is Rowan Vale, 35, former military. These days I design encrypted satellite firmware for a defense contractor in Colorado. One wrong character in a line of code, and a missile no longer remembers where the ocean is. Silence isn't something that relaxes me. It keeps me breathing. And my younger sister, Sage, treated my quiet like it belonged to her. Sage is 29, married to a polished, trust fund real estate content machine named Blaine. There are 2 kids, Juniper, 9, and Fox, 7, in her world. My cabin at 9,000 feet, my single life, and my boring work meant I was a free all-season childcare service with mountain scenery included. For 6 years, I was emergency contact, the complimentary winter vacation sitter, the uncle who canceled travel, operations, and deadlines because the kids wanted to see Uncle Ro. Until the Christmas, I finally refused. We were slicing prime rib in my parents' dining room outside Denver. Sage spoke with a voice sweet enough to hide the poison underneath. Blaine surprised me with a 10-day private yacht trip starting March 10th. "You'll take Junie and Fox, right? They can miss a week. You practically homeschool them anyway." She smiled like the decision had been signed in ink. I set my knife down. No. The chandelier shivered. My mother dropped her wine glass. Sage blinked twice, then laughed like someone who had never met rejection. "Rowan, you live alone in the mountains. What else could you possibly be doing?" "Living," I replied. "You should try it sometime." The battle that followed was cold and silent. Fake pregnancy alarms. Voicemails about mom's cancer scare that turned out to be nothing more than a shadow on a scan. Blaine sending digital requests demanding repayment for emotional harm. I cut communication with all of them. 1 week before my first vacation in 9 years, I sent a single message to the family group chat. March 9th to 18th. Cabin will be OFF grid. No service. Do not contact unless civilization falls. Sage responded with a single peach emoji. I should have recognized the smell of fuel right then. March 9th arrived with new snow and the kind of stillness that hums in your head. I made coffee dark enough to stand a spoon in, lit a fire that smelled like pine and freedom, and let the world forget I existed. Meanwhile, in Boulder, Sage unraveled. Blaine was already boarding the yacht, non-refundable tickets and all. So she packed 2 tiny North Face backpacks, kissed her children on the forehead, and placed them on a Greyhound headed for Uncle Rowan's mountain instead. She instructed the driver, dropped them at Evergreen Lodge, mile marker 47, San Juan Forest. Except she said mile marker 74, a location 27 miles deeper into nothing, a place where the forest absorbs screams and snow hides tire tracks until thaw. The bus eased to a halt on a deserted mountain pass. The driver opened the doors, pointed toward a snow-choked service road, and said, "Lodge is half a mile that way." Then he shut the door and drove off. Juniper and Fox stood in snow up to their knees with only their backpacks, 2 juice boxes, and a note pinned to Fox's jacket in Sage's handwriting. "Uncle Rowan will be waiting. Love, Mom." There was no lodge at mile marker 74. Only a forgotten ranger post with boarded windows, a dead chimney, and nothing around it but federal forest and the kind of wilderness where wolves own the night. A 76-year-old former forest ranger and Marine named Cal lived in a single-room cabin a quarter-mile away. He was outside splitting logs when he noticed 2 small shapes trudging through deep snow, faces wind-burned and lips turning purple. He brought them inside, wrapped them in wool blankets that smelled of smoke and old hardwood, fed them canned chili and oatmeal cookies, and waited for frantic parent he assumed would come charging up the road. No one ever did. Thursday turned into Friday. Friday slipped into Saturday. Then came Sunday and Monday. 4 nights of 20 below wind screaming against the window panes while Kel told them stories from Vietnam just to keep them from crying themselves to sleep. Then at 2:17 a.m. on Tuesday, Sage finally called from a satellite phone on a yacht. That was when she thanked me for showing up. That was also the moment I learned my niece and nephew had been missing a place where people freeze to death faster than they could be found. I was on the mountain before daylight. I called in every favor I had ever earned in uniform. Search helicopters, thermal imaging drones, bloodhounds that cost more per hour than most people earn in a week. We located the deserted ranger station at dusk on Tuesday. I kicked the door open, heart hammering against my ribs. Juniper looked up from a table, scribbling with crayons Cal dug out of a 50-year-old box. Fox was asleep beneath a bearskin on the couch. When they saw me, they didn't bolt into my arms. They stared like they weren't convinced I was real. Then Juniper whispered, "Mom said you forgot us." I dropped into the snow and vowed out loud, to the forest, the sky, whatever power was listening, that no one would ever forget them again. Sage was waiting at the trailhead when we came down the mountain. Her spray tan was flaking off, her hair brittle from salt and sun. She reached out, and both children shrank behind me. Fox actually hid his face in the back of my coat. Sage opened and closed her mouth like a fish gasping for oxygen. I didn't raise my voice. I simply said, "You abandoned your children on a mountain in March." With a note, she broke down, sobbing about finances, stress, marriage, and how exhausting motherhood was. I walked past her holding both of their hands and didn't look back. What followed was brutal. Blaine filed for divorce before the helicopter even shut down. Child Protective Services took emergency custody. A judge called it reckless endangerment with depraved indifference. Sage lost everything except supervised visitation and a criminal record. She still mails letters from whatever one-room apartment she can afford, written in purple ink, accusing me of ruining her life over a simple bus mix-up. But it wasn't a mix-up. It was 96 hours of margaritas instead of a single phone call. 96 hours where 2 children learned that their mother's vacation mattered more than their safety. Juniper is 16 now, determined to become a search and rescue pilot. Fox is 14 and can build a fire with 2 sticks and stubborn determination. They spend every summer with me at the cabin. They still check the locks 3 times before bed, but when the wind howls, they laugh because they know it can't catch them anymore. Sage still waits for forgiveness that will never come. Some mountains don't return the people left on them. So tell me, if your own family put their children on a bus into the wilderness just to punish you for saying no, could you ever breathe the same air again? I can't, and the quiet up here has never sounded better.